Hi guys, another CineBeards review and discussion here.
Review.
I'm here with Dion,
That's
Marcus, and
Hi.
Thomas.
And that is me.
I'm Jason.
It's Thomas!
It's Jason.
Let's talk about The Last Jedi.
Alright, let's do. The Last Jedi is a very good movie. I think we're done.
Yes, it is. We are done now.
I think that's very good.
Very... Oh, sorry. Fucking excellent.
There we go.
I believe it's a Star Wars film
Safe.
too.
Yeah, it is a Star Wars film.
Really?
Yeah.
Following on or
Yeah,
standalone?
it follows the titular Star Wars as he travels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the 8th episode in the series, which may end at 9, may end at 12.
No, it's
Like,
gonna end. It is
It's gonna
ending
end
at
at
9.
9. They've said that 9 is gonna be
Yeah,
end
the
of
new
Skywalker.
Ryan Johnson's new trilogy is gonna be totally unconnected.
Yes.
At the very
Which I'm
least, we
happy
know
about.
if there is an episode 10, it's gonna have nothing to do with the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be real here. No, I can't say that.
No, no.
around
we're
that.
starting spoiler free.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
spoiler free review is that, for my money, this is probably the most dense, just sort of overall interesting and complex Star Wars film.
Yeah,
It takes a lot of risks.
it does.
It is going to upset a lot of people who have spent the last 2 years obsessively theorizing and digging through expanded universe stuff for obscure things which they think would be amazing.
But on the other hand, that's their problem.
Yeah, that is very much their problem.
Yeah.
And
I
also,
mean-
like, if you were hesitant about Kylo Ren in Force Awakens,
You don't need to
He
be
is
anymore.
honestly
this
his,
movie will kind of
his
swing you.
his performance here is, for my money, the best, like just best performance in a Star Wars film.
Yeah, Driver and Gleason,
Yes.
Hux,
yeah.
standout
Oh,
performers.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Hux was a little flat in Force Awakens.
Yes.
but here
He really
Well,
feels.
I mean,
fleshed
that's.
out.
Yeah.
I feel that's
Really
J.J.
does.
Abrams' fault for not using him
I
correctly.
think it's more. I think it's only probably in the writing of this one, because I know they had sort of broad arcs worked out, but it's
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
when getting down to the nitty gritty that they really realized how rich the rivalry between him and Ren can be.
Yes.
And
well,
just
yeah, and, they
And
also
that's all
realized
Ryan
that
Johnson,
the
because
amount
he
that
wrote it
they're-
as well.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
because they realized that if he's gonna give Ren the amount of development that he did in this movie, he had to give quite a bit to
his
Hux
number
as
two.
Yeah.
well.
Because
couldn't just be-
They're constantly playing off each other.
Fun fact, Hux's first name is Armitage.
I saw that
as well. Yeah. I saw that
he didn't know it.
He
He was
didn't know.
like,
He's like,
they should
Yeah.
probably tell me these things.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so outstanding acting. The score, as always, is stellar. I've been listening to the soundtrack in my car.
Williams back in all
I
his
just have
glory.
one thing to say about the soundtrack.
Okay, you're probably going to be wrong if it's in any way negative, but I'll.
No. It is a great Star Wars soundtrack, right? It hits all the right notes, all the right themes, everything.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I wish John Williams had done, was give us something out of left field again, like he did with Duel of Fates, which was so unlike any of the Star Wars themes before it.
I see exactly what you're saying.
Like, I would have loved to hear something that new to complement the
but
newness
again,
of the
I don't want to
film.
get into spoiler territory, but there isn't really that much new in this film relative to. Remember, that was like prequel trilogy, so
Yeah.
it was like totally different tone. Like that was deliberately trying to separate itself.
Yes.
This is a sequel to Force Awakens, which is a sequel to Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I totally, but also it's already so dense.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing that I love, which is not a spoiler, which I absolutely love about the soundtrack, is how organically Kylo and Rey's themes have fit into the
I
Star Wars.
agree.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the first time I watched it, I remember going on forums and a lot of composers saying, "Oh, it's there's no new memorable themes." I'm like, those old themes are sort of memorable and classic because of time.
Yeah, 40 years of
Yeah.
time. Come on.
And honestly, for someone who listened to the Force Awakens soundtrack a lot, and I've internalized Rey's theme and Kylo's theme,
Oh,
the
I dig
way,
Kylo's theme
yeah,
so much.
the way that I've internalized the old themes, and they just fit so. It was just goosebumps.
They are signature Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they fit absolutely perfectly. But that's a good point though. Like visually there were some things which were just like, holy shit, they've never done anything like this.
Exactly. Like,
so
I would have.
that is actually a good point. Yeah.
From,
No, I actually agree with you there.
Like,
not that I felt it was missing,
Yeah.
but it would be nice.
It would add more.
But it
if
is
it's
a,
not
it is a
missing, then
fair
it's not there.
criticism.
Yeah.
Like with that one shot that is that one way to have that one new. You know exactly what I'm talking
Well,
about.
no, I like that one shot is that one way because it had no music, it had no sound.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Oh, Jason, no. Why
Oh
would
no!
you say?
Now
Okay.
it's such a moment.
So overall, great acting. I really like the story.
Adam Driver is the MVP of this movie.
Absolutely.
What I would say is, if you're gonna watch it, if you haven't watched it yet for whatever reason, probably because it's been sold
Time
out.
constraints
Yeah.
and being sold out.
Yeah, mostly just being sold out. Is book a second ticket for the next day. I watched it the evening, and then I watched it the next morning, and I'm very, very glad that I did, because the first time it so consistently subverts your expectations. It subverts the tropes that Star Wars usually indulges in.
Yeah.
It subverts them. The structure is sort of complex. It's extremely rich, and it does deserve a second viewing. And I loved it first time, but I think I enjoyed it even more second time around when I could see how all the moving parts came together. And that's the thing with the Star Wars film. What a lot of people forget, people that are criticizing this one after a single viewing, is they've probably watched the original trilogy a dozen
17,000
times.
times.
They've probably watched documentaries. They've watched behind the scenes. They've read Expanded Universe. They've read the visual dictionary. That's part of what makes the experience so rich, is just really immersing yourself in it. And this really feels like probably the most rewarding. Okay, if you're one of those people that's like, oh, the original trilogy is untouchable and perfect, you can't talk about it, fine. This is definitely the richest of the new ones.
Absolutely, unbelievably.
Yeah.
Cool. So now we're done with that. Let's get on to the spoilers.
Okay, spoilers are incoming.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Okay.
Spoilers.
That light speed
light
shot.
speed
Fucking
shot.
light speed shot.
Jesus Christ! Like, I remember, because we were all in the cinema, right?
Yeah.
At the same, all of us.
Yeah.
Did you guys also hear just everyone gasp?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
there was
literally being
an
left
audible
breathless.
intake of breath.
Yeah, and I was a little annoyed the second time I watched it, because there was some girl off to the right of me, and she very loudly said, "Ooh, they broke the sound barrier."
That's what happens when you go light speed down.
No.
Well,
but no, but that was
technically she's
incredible.
not wrong.
Yeah.
Technically.
Look, maybe she knows something that we don't, and Snoke's ship is actually called the sound barrier.
Oh, expanded law.
No, but
Expanded.
No,
seriously,
that is, and I mean, that's, you're completely right there.
Yeah.
That like that, I mean, that needed to be silent, but there were a lot of shots like that. Just for me, the other one that just absolutely destroyed me
we
was
agreed on
the
this
scene
one.
of Luke and Kylo
You
facing
see,
off.
that would have been the perfect place to put
something new.
a new dueler
Yeah.
facing
I
type
actually
thing.
do
Yeah.
completely.
Like,
I'm getting
just-
goosebumps here.
Just thinking
So-
about it.
Oh god.
Yeah, but I mean that just visually that was
Got the vapors.
the whole what's that the Salt Planet called?
Crate.
Crate.
That is just what I mean. If that was in the original trilogy, it would now be sort of this all-time iconic.
The moment.
It would be the whole
the red
moment.
underneath
It-
the white.
yeah,
like-
everything about that, the way they used it, you know,
visual
like
design
the
was
red
so
coming through. Gareth Edwards cameo, you all
Yeah.
spotted that? You all
Yeah.
spotted- yeah. The
I also spotted the Tom Hardy cameo.
oh really?
He's got a cameo in the movie, yeah.
Really?
Wait,
Where?
I
Is
missed
he?
that.
He is. I read about it last night. He is one of. He's what I think he's one of Phasma's guards or something like that. He's in there. Like I read about it. after
Joseph
the fact.
Gordon-Levitt is also in there
Yes.
somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. in the
Because I
credits.
remember reading, I don't know if it was ever confirmed, that one of the stormtroopers in Force Awakens
Daniel
Was
Craig.
Daniel Craig,
The,
yes.
the
Was it
one
him?
that Ray
Is that him?
Matrix
Is
yes,
that
yeah,
him?
that's
Okay.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, that's what, I mean, I just imagine being like, having that much pull that you could just grab yourself this little cameo.
Look, the thing
I
is,
want to be in Star Wars.
yeah, exactly, because I don't think it was Disney like, hey, we want you in this thing.
No,
this
no,
is
no.
your thing.
Like,
These are people
please
who've been
let me
like,
be a
I want to be in
stormtrooper.
this
I
thing.
want to
We're
be a
like,
stormtrooper. Let me die for the, you know. Yeah, but no.
The thing is,
that-
Disney is like, sure, we'll let you be in this if you sign this 2-movie deal.
And you do it because Star Wars.
Yeah.
yeah.
That was incredible. There were just a lot of totally new things to see. There were new creatures. I love porgs.
God, I like
How do you
that.
not
marketing
love porgs?
worked so well on me.
Marketing!
God, I love
Oh yeah, no, like again, I don't want to dwell too much on some of the negative reaction I've seen because a lot of it feels very irrational.
And very sort of knee-jerky.
Yeah,
and
and a
very
lot of
nitpicky as well.
yeah, it's like 0 because they feel this character should have had more story.
0
And
because
also
I
a lot
don't
of
like
them,
porgs.
a lot of the criticisms are criticisms that you could level at the original trilogy, like
Yes.
word for word. And one of the things that I saw was
we
a
can't
lot
touch
of
them because
people
they're
saying,
old.
"Oh, you know, porgs are terrible because it's clearly just Disney like desecrating Star Wars for like merchandising."
George
excuse me.
Lucas called. He
Yeah.
wants the Ewoks in this
Yeah,
movie.
George Lucas invented that.
Yeah.
Like the Ewoks only existed to be toys.
That's why they got
Han
2
Solo,
spin-off movies.
Han Solo didn't
What do you
die
think the
because his
Jawas
toys
were?
wouldn't
Like,
have
yeah.
sold as well. Like, if those things had been done now, then everyone would be like, "Oh, Disney up in arms," but because it's original trilogy,
Because it's
and so fuck those
beyond
people.
reproach.
Porgs are adorable,
Yeah.
and I
Also,
love
you
them.
you told me the reason why they did.
Oh
the
yeah,
porgs,
because
the
the
reason.
island is covered in puffins.
Yeah.
And it just sort of Ryan Johnson wanted something lighthearted on the island, and a lot of these puffins they could ostensibly digitally remove, but you preferably want plate shots of the areas behind them to do that. And rather than do that, they just digitally made porgs over them. So
Yeah.
the porgs, which are arguably the only thing as adorable as puffins.
Yeah.
That's just science.
Yeah, that's pure science right there. So yeah, so a lot of those are just covering up puffins,
Yeah.
and I think that's great.
And
Have you
can-
ever seen a puffin try to land?
It's
hilarious. It's can I that fucking Yoda cameo.
Yes.
Oh my
okay.
God,
Thing
yes.
that I discussed. Okay, you've probably read this already, but if anyone listening hasn't heard, the puppet they used was cast from the original mold.
So they had the masters.
That was
Wow.
the original mold for the first Yoda puppet that they casted from.
Bless Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson and Mark Hamill went in person to talk to Frank Oz to convince him to do it. No one except Ryan Johnson, Mark Hamill, and the the sort of the small skeleton. It was like filming a sex scene, you know, like
Yeah.
a tiny
It's a
skeleton
closed
crew.
set.
Yeah.
Like two
Mark
like a
Hamill,
cameraman and a
he
sound
wasn't
guy.
scheduled to be there that day, so he had to enter and leave the building through the back exit so that no one spotted him. That's how secretive they were about it. And it's wonderful because Luke
Not in any
needed
of the
guidance from
marketing as well.
Luke needed
Yeah.
hmm?
It wasn't any of the marketing.
Not
or
even
anything.
No,
the
yeah,
tiniest
Luke needed
hint.
guidance from somewhere.
Yes.
And it could be Kenobi or it could be Yoda. And they didn't want to obviously do the whole Alec Guinness thing. It wouldn't have made any sense for it to be young Kenobi because he obviously never met him.
Yeah.
So it had to be Yoda. And the way they pulled it off was... I just immediately saw this is Puppet Yoda.
Yeah, when I saw
When he
this
does
is
that little-
Puppet Yoda, I was like, I was legit like, oh my god, he actually gone and did it.
And when I read this morning, you know, that it was cast from the original first Yoda mold, like that's just goosebumps right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's
Oh my
love.
God,
I mean,
that
that's,
is-
Yeah, no,
that's
you don't
pure
get a
love.
more perfect callback to the original.
Yeah.
You
Right.
really don't.
Yeah.
Take,
like,
and it's
what
a-
a perfect close to Luke's whole story.
Yeah, I think for me, probably one of the two most touching things I've ever seen in Star Wars is Luke's goodbye to Leia,
Yeah.
which is just like and also so prescient. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's sort of overlapping with the real world, and just that shot of him
Two sons.
with the two sons.
Oh my
and
God.
it's
And
just-
Luke's
Yeah.
theme starts swelling, and it ends as he began with the two sons.
Yeah.
And it's like calling back to Tatooine. They shift. Did you notice they shifted the palette
yeah,
Yeah.
to
yeah.
look more
to
like
make it more
Tatooine?
orange.
I was like, oh, I started tearing up
Yeah.
because it's just.
There's just so much
Oh,
love put into this movie for the old movies,
Like-
but at the same time distancing itself.
No,
from
Yeah,
it.
that's
it
the-
doesn't feel like, hey, look at this thing. Hey, look at this thing. Hey, look at this thing.
yeah.
You know,
It's
it
nothing.
feels
Nothing
so
feels
seamless.
shoehorned. Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically like a completely new movie that they'd made, where they just used these little memories and these little callbacks to just kind of accent it at the perfect little points.
There was far less. I also noticed there was far less like Force Awakens had a ton of TIE fighter sound.
Yes.
That scream. It was all over. There was a lot
And,
of that.
Like, we love that.
Yeah, I love that.
For sure.
But you could see there's this conscious effort to start moving away from that,
Yeah.
because that's what Episode 7 had to do, and now it's slowly moving away. But it's so organic. Yoda appearing to Luke because Luke needs guidance.
Yeah.
At this
Yeah.
point, he's still a student in many ways. You know, he's
Yeah.
still that
He
young.
still never completed his training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he still needs the sort of this one final lesson, and that's actually the third lesson. You know, he was going to give
Yes.
Rey 3 lessons. He
Yeah.
gave her 2, and the third lesson was for him.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're right. My God. What else I loved is like I wonder what type of ships, because obviously now that the rebellion is basically 6 people on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there are no more from what I can gather is like the core rebellion as we have them now. They don't have access to X-wings again. They don't have this. Like I want to see in the next one guerrilla warfare, like proper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just a few those shots in the trenches
Yes.
Ooh,
were
yeah,
just
yeah.
incredible. I mean, I know
Like, this
Rogue
really
One
felt like a war
like
movie.
Rogue One was the one where I thought like, cool, they've sort of gone and they've made it like a war movie. This one, I think, even further
Yeah.
than that, really felt like a war movie. And what I think,
Because they used attrition a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, just with they have it. What did they call the Star Cruiser? The Rebel Star Cruiser that was constantly trying to run away.
I can't
The
remember the name of it.
Ragan or something like that.
Yeah.
Cute. It's a cute little Easter egg. It's called the Ragan, or you can edit over this and put text to speech or whatever. It's actually the name of the Mon Calamari admiral who
yeah?
first responded in Rogue One.
oh wow,
Who actually came
wow.
to say that he was later. You find this out in some of the novels and so on. He was later deified, and they named the.
so many feelings.
They named
Oh,
that
man.
Star Cruiser after him.
So
That's
many
cool.
feelings. I think
Goosebumps again. This
something-
movie is just
something that
goosebumps.
something that Jason said earlier when we were talking as well. It's just that this isn't Luke's film. This isn't Rey's film. This is Ben's film.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's Ben's film, hands down.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets, for my money, the most character development,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and like he actually is a threat now.
Yeah,
He
he's
feels like
he's
a-
actually properly terrifying, and he's still got that ambiguity about him, which actually makes him even more scary.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes him
'cause you
terrifying.
never
Because you
100%
think he's
sure.
going to try and overcompensate and
Yeah.
like to try and deny this light in him, he's going to go full dark.
What I love was when
The Radis.
the Radis, that's the one.
Oh.
When Snoke like confronts me like, you're just to take off that mask. You have no rereason to
You look
wear it.
ridiculous.
You look ridiculous.
And then he just fucking wrecks
Yeah.
that mask.
And Hux being like, and like how Hux is just trying to be his dad. Like, it really feels like at the beginning of the film, both Kylo and Hux are sort of playing fascist dress up.
yeah,
You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
like, this is what it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to wear a helmet and wear black and scowl and have a deep voice. And Hux is always like, I should be this and this. I am a space
and
Nazi.
they're also like two boys with a distant father.
Yes,
who
yeah.
are trying to vie for his affection the whole time. You know,
Yeah,
Hux
But both
keeps-
using
Yeah,
different ways. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good at this thing, so I'm going to use this. But I'm good at this thing, so I'm
Yeah.
going to use this.
Yeah.
And, oh, no, mine's
and
prettier.
it's really good. And that moment where Hux realizes like, oh shit, like Kylo has fucking taken over. Like,
Yeah, Supreme
Yeah.
Leader
Yeah,
is
long
dead.
live
Long
the
live
the
Supreme
Supreme
Leader.
Leader.
or there's still gonna be something.
Oh,
there.
there's a lot of
Oh,
conflict
yeah.
between the two.
Yeah,
of them.
there
It's
really
I'm
is.
really excited to see how that develops.
Because you can
in the
see
the
how
final one,
Hux-
how it comes to a head. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can see how Hux, like, throughout this movie, and especially from between the last movie and this movie, is becoming more and more and more and more unhinged.
Yeah.
Like, his composure is cracking, and, like, I don't know if it was a conscious choice in makeup, but, like, it looks like the dark circles under his eyes become more and more pronounced. I don't know if that was just me seeing that, or if that was actually
I'll
a
look
thing.
out for that.
Yeah.
But, like, it just, he looks sweatier and
Yeah.
pastier, and his hair is not, like, as perfect as it normally is, and, like, yeah, so
Look, considering the insane amount of attention to detail,
Yeah,
I'm gonna call it right now. That was a conscious decision.
for sure.
Yeah.
There was I'm actually just struggling to think of my favorite. What I really like structurally that I noticed second time round was just how well all the different disparate plot threads come together at that moment where Holdo goes to Lightspeed.
Yeah.
Like at that moment, all the different plot threads have reached the head. Like
Yeah,
they're
it's
all
like-
like
it's-
Yeah,
it is-
because,
it's the
because
fake out
and-
ending.
until that point in time, the whole like casino plot thread seemed out of place to me.
Yeah, it seemed a bit superfluous.
yeah.
But then at the end, when it pulls in, and it's because of that scene that the escape plan doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically what it also serves to do is it serves to introduce the issue of class
Yeah.
to Star Wars, which is something they've never really touched on.
I love
No.
that last, like, it's all about, a space empire and rich aristocrats fighting blood feuds.
Yeah. And I like it ties in also with the whole thing that Luke's saying. He's saying like, the Jedi aren't perfect. Like all this bad stuff happened on their watch.
They actively
yeah,
contributed to
Yeah,
it.
they were arrogant and there was this hubris. And then
what
there's no sort of pure black and white.
Yeah, and then,
the
they're,
last
then they're
time-
on that ship.
On the ship,
that
they see-
Benicio del Toro,
Yeah.
Toro stole, and it's the same guy selling weapons to both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that they're bringing in that ambiguity and they're saying like, hey, this isn't cut and dry.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they started that off in Rogue One, where you first meet what's his name now?
The Frenchman.
the main dude from Rogue One. Can't remember his name.
Frenchie
But when
the
you see
French.
him in the
Yeah, French
in the,
McFrench.
Mads
in the
Mikkelsen.
alleyway.
That man is
When you
Danish.
see him in the alleyway and
Yeah.
like he knows the guy can't run away and he knows the guy's gonna
Yeah.
squeal, so he just
He
shoots
just
him.
shoots him. And that is objectively a bad thing to do.
Yeah. So it's carrying that theme and the moving away from the like, oh, the guys with the red sticks are bad guys, and the guys
Yeah.
with the green sticks are good guys.
And the guy with the purple stick is the one that had enough pull to decide the own color of his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were saying something?
Was I saying something?
Possibly.
Oh, what I liked about the whole subplot on the casino planet. It did feel at times, yes, a little bit superfluous. Like it did drag on a little bit, but I love the character development of Finn and the new character
Rose.
Rose.
Yeah.
During that quest, it sets them up to actually, like it gives them almost a full character arc. So you know by the end of it who they are, what they're about, and why they.
Yeah,
Finn
like when
had
they
to-
first
Finn
get
had to
there,
learn
Finn's
it-
like, why would
yeah.
anyone hate this?
Yeah,
This is
Finn
amazing.
had to learn that lesson. Like he
Yeah.
has to learn because he sort of the way he sees it is he sees it as like there's the First Order and there's the rebellion and the First Order are the bad guys and he rejected them and now he's with sort of the rebellion, so he is now a good guy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't realize that there's more to it than that.
Because that's
Yeah.
his life. That's all he's
Yeah, that-
ever
I
Yeah,
mean,
known.
and now he has
He's
to
known
see
nothing
like
else.
like when they're looking at the race, and he's like, "This is awesome," and she's like, "No, look closer," and you can see the animals being abused. You can see the children that are being used as labor. So it was something that I agree. As I was watching it, I thought like, "Where's this going?" But when I see how it all comes together, second time round, I had sort of zero issues with it.
And Laura Dern's Admiral Holdo.
So good.
Oh man,
I
We
also
love
that,
raptor
that
ladies
double
so
bluff
much.
with her,
Yeah,
where
Yes.
they're like,
where they make it look like she's somehow incompetent or
yeah,
she's
where
'cause
they
that's
try
the
to
old
almost
trope.
vilify her.
yeah,
with
Yeah.
and you
The
because
bureaucrat is the bad guy. The action men know what needs to be
Yeah.
done.
because they
And then
know
basically
that's
what
the
they're
audience
telling
instinct.
you is, hey, look, sometimes the people in charge are in charge for a reason.
Yeah. There's a reason like Leia
Trusts her.
trusts her to take over, and like Leia says, like Poe needs to learn his lesson. Like
Yeah.
he needs to learn that you can't just go in and blow stuff up always.
And like again, like a trope subversion is when it's announced that Leia's in this critical condition. You see him sitting there, and like when they're
Yeah.
announcing the next line of succession, like you can see he thinks it's him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
as the audience, that's what they're gonna tell you because that is the cliche. Like
Yeah.
the person that was just reprimanded by their superior, now the superior's dead and they have to take over and they take the lessons to heart and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's how it normally goes. It was like no,
And he hasn't-
you were demoted.
And he
Yeah,
hasn't
you
learned
did a
his
shit
lesson.
thing. Yeah.
You,
You
lost
don't-
all the bombers.
You don't get to be in charge and learn your mistake through command. That's
Yeah.
how it normally goes.
And that's
No.
that's the theme of the film as well. That Yoda says, like the best teacher is failure.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of characters failing.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
there's a lot
real
of plans
world
that
consequences.
fail.
Everyone's. I mean, they even show another brilliant device that I absolutely loved was the three versions of Luke with
Yeah,
Kylo.
that was really
Absolutely.
The first one where he made himself look very benign. The second one from Kylo's
he looks
viewpoint where he
evil.
looks super evil. And then
Yeah.
the third one, which is the actual truth in the
the
middle.
truth and kind of the heart behind Ren's character.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he realizes that, like, yeah,
And
in
once
that
again,
in
I
that
have
mo-
goosebumps.
yeah,
I
in that moment, he as the teacher had failed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Kylo was just afraid.
And it's his shame versus the fear and
Yeah,
the anger.
so Luke had to. Everyone sort of fails to some extent in this film,
Yeah.
and everyone's sort of learning, and that's the character
and
development.
Rey fails to, I guess, kind of save Ben.
yes,
Yeah.
because that's what she was
Yeah,
trying to
there's
do.
that,
I
like,
think I can
symbolic
turn him. I
thing.
know there's good in
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
But
and then
how-
she fails in the symbolic thing right at the end where she, like, literally closes the door on
Yeah.
him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like, I tried, there's nothing I can do, I failed.
You're gone.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
Leia also says, like, he's gone. My son's gone.
Yeah.
That lightsaber fight
Oh.
with Kylo and Rey.
And the Imperial
And the
Guard
Imperial
guys.
Guard.
Oh, just visually, that was just
In their red Mandalorian steel. And,
that
And the
was
laser flippy
incredible.
swords.
yeah.
Yeah, nice little touches there as well. Her dropping the saber and
Yeah.
catching it, and then like throwing it at Kylo. Yeah, it's just
oh, yeah.
the face.
Dion let out an audible laugh there. I think you possibly heard
I
it.
did. I wasn't that far away from him.
uh,
But no,
That was
but also
outstanding.
just the way the movie opens,
mm,
like it's just so great with just that conversation and then into that enormous space battle. Which, if you had watched the trailers, the shots from it make it look like that's gonna be like the final
I saw
battle.
a lot of people saying like, "I'm so glad we're finally gonna have like a proper, full-on, massive space battle."
Yeah.
In this movie is like, sorry,
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
not
you
the
get
point.
that, and it's impeccably shot.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It is incredible.
And I like that it's not much like Dunkirk. Actually, it's not a fight. It's about the trying to get away.
It's about
trying
surviving.
to survive.
Yeah,
At
it felt
any
like
means.
it really felt like when you're playing StarCraft, and you've got your units are being picked off, and you've just got that one unit that just has to make it.
You gotta make
Yeah.
that fighting
Just has to-
retreat all the way back.
There's definitely like a video game influence,
I think so.
like just that feeling of like this one last, just made it.
Gonna make it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah,
But at what cost?
That one.
what cost? One little thing that I did have a problem with is the massive, what do they call it, the dreadnought
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
and Snoke's ship. There wasn't really a massive divide between the two of those.
Yeah, visually I wouldn't be able to tell
it was
you.
visually confusing
Like,
when
it was when
Snoke
it
ship
first
came in. It was
yeah,
like, oh,
when
that's
Snoke
just...
ship first shows up. I was like, oh, they've got another dreadnought.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not terribly visual, and I can tell you, like, I didn't think too hard about it, but now that you mention it, like, I would not be able to tell you.
Yeah,
which one's which.
if they didn't say, oh, it's Snoke's ship, I would have thought it was just a
It's like,
dreadnought.
oh.
It's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
There is, it is not really well shown, but Snoke's ship is supposed to be significantly larger.
No, it is larger because
a
you can
dreadnought.
see there is a visual representation
Yeah.
when they look on the scanners. You
Yes.
can see the wireframe.
Yeah.
Like it's much bigger, but
Yeah.
it's
It's
not
when
like
when
the...
it first shows up, because of the way that the dreadnought first showed up
Yes.
earlier on, and it had that
got this-
massive presence.
I
and
loved
it's got the same
the
profile.
design of the dreadnought. It's like
Oh, yeah, it's
pure
super
industrial death machine. It
Yeah.
looks like if you know what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the technology that the Nazis have
I thought you.
in Wolfenstein.
I thought you were gonna say like if the Soviets had a whole bunch of cash.
If the Soviets
too.
won the Cold War.
Yeah.
That too, but like specifically in Wolfenstein 2, they've
Yeah.
got these like Nazi battle trains that are, and like that just reminds me of it so much.
Just the industrial nature
The
of
sort of
something that because
industrial-
space designs of spaceships is meant to be
Yeah.
all sleek
It's not
and
spoilery, Dion. You
smooth.
don't have to
This
plug
thing
your ears.
looks like it's come out of the Industrial Revolution.
Exactly.
It looks like it's
because
got
you don't need to be
pistons and
aerodynamic
steel.
in space. Because
Exactly.
there's no way that dreadnought
I
thing
know,
was
but
built
that's-
on a planet.
No, but
Like-
that's always the thinking of spaceship design. When it's always like sleek profiles and angles, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
meant to look futuristic. Where it could just be a box,
yeah.
guns.
It's like
once
the
again,
Borg, like the Borg, who
No,
just have
exactly.
these flying
But-
cubes.
I would say like a porg.
Those are smooth as hell. But yeah, Jason was right. Like it was a visually confusing thing, and it's made worse by the fact that you know, like in the original movies where you had the Star Destroyers and then the Super Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
It was a very clear visual. That is the big ship.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
So, but
So
it's not really a big.
we have two damning criticisms
Yeah.
of the film thus far.
Yeah. Ooh, I have
0 out of 10.
0 out of 10.
I
Pre-order
have
cancelled.
one more damning criticism
Alright.
of the film.
It ends.
Yes. No, but
Terrible.
legitimately, I wanted. No, it's not a damning criticism. I just wanted more of those ice fox creatures.
Yeah,
on
no,
Crate.
no,
Those very
I could do-
expensive ice fox
Yeah,
creatures.
I could definitely do with just like a
Well,
faux
wouldn't
nature documentary just about
Right?
them, like as a Blu-ray bonus feature or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Would there be ice foxes or salt foxes?
well, no, they're crystal critters, is
Yeah.
what.
They do
so
have
they're
a.
probably
They do
salt
have a.
crystals.
I call them crystal
Yes.
foxes. That's what I
'Cause
like.
they look
that.
like foxes.
Yeah, I like crystal fox.
Yeah.
But man, there was some.
They are
like,
gorgeous.
The universe felt diverse and
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it felt just new creatures,
New locations.
and they all felt Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another Easter egg I should mention. Now, this only came out in one of the novels.
Yeah.
Crate isn't just any old salt planet, and that's
Oh,
just
yeah,
not.
no. I mean, because those things are a dime a dozen.
Yeah,
Diamond
I mean,
does
it's also
those red salt planets.
it's also not just any sort of rebel base. It was the one of the original rebel bases that was secret that Leia's father ran the resistance from
Oh.
in the beginning. They explain it in the book. Only 2 people know it still exists, and that's Leia Organa and Admiral Holdo, because they met as teenagers on their way to Crate.
Nice.
So that's
That's-
why
and
that's why
that's
she
why
was
Holdo's
chosen.
also in charge, because
like-
she knew from the beginning that's what Leia
And
was
she,
gunning
and she couldn't
for.
tell anyone else in case there was.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it makes
Oh,
perfect
man,
sense.
that's
Like
yeah.
I hate that it had to be explained in a novel outside of the movie, but
But I think you can. I think they do
try
give
and like
enough.
shoehorn that
They
dialogue.
do
in.
give
There would-
enough.
there
They
would've been
do
a
give
weird
enough of
flashback
the. You can see just through their acting, like their friendship.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
see
can
it,
tell
like,
they've
and the
known
way
each other
they-
for
yeah,
years.
the way they're joking around, you know, like when Poe's lying there, and like they've both had massive run-ins with him. It's like, oh, this one's a troublemaker. Like, yeah, I like him. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Yeah. Because you need, obviously, they know they need those sorts of spirited fighters, but you can also see like their connection.
Yeah.
Such a good movie. I cannot wait to see it again.
Oh, I can't wait to see it again either. We're going on Wednesday. It's going to be great.
Nice.
Nice. All right, let's pray for Krabbies.
Grabby. So 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Solid 6 out of 10.
solid 5 out of 7.
Yeah. No, fuck it. This movie
That's
was
an internet
absolutely.
meme. 6 out of 10 is a personal meme, Thomas.
Yeah, well, I only know internet.
It's
6 of
also,
9.
I will say
What?
one more thing about it. It is, because you've been mentioning the novels and stuff.
Yeah.
It is the new Star Wars sort of thing that has most made me want to just read all the new.
Was it an
Canon.
Yeah,
novelization
all the
of,
new
like,
canon.
Like,
Exactly.
it's so rich, and you can see there's so much behind the scenes. None of which you absolutely have to know to enjoy the film.
No, no,
I
But you
think
can
that will
just
help
see.
you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it, I rarely get that instinct, but I really feel like I just want to read all of it. Luckily, my wife owns all of them, so
Hey.
Just get Martina to explain.
she can read them to me.
Yeah.
She can
Martina-
record a series of
Solid
audio
6 out of
books.
10, wife.
Martina is your own personal Wikipedia.
Ayo.
Ayo.
Awesome. So go watch The Last Jedi if you haven't.
Yeah, and like just if you feel like it, just send me Porg merch.
Yeah, just Porg merch all day long. I'll take anything.
Give me Porgs.
Porgs!